Peace, family. It's your boy King of Tuna, back again with another episode. Today's episode has a very special topic for my subscribers, and I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I love and 5 things that I hate about living in Uganda. So, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for the first thing that I love about living in Uganda is how there are black businesses literally everywhere. So growing up in America, I did not see that many black businesses that often. Like I would see a few here and there. Usually it'd be the same type of business, you know, like barbershops, of course. Most barbershops I ever attended in my life are always black owned, black barbers everywhere. So that was one that I grew to appreciate at a very young age. Another one would be a auto garage. Like I knew a lot of auto mechanics growing up, and I knew quite a few who owned their own auto mechanic shop. So those are just 2 examples of black businesses that I grew up on. But as I say, I don't get to see them too often. And many of you at home probably can, agreement with me on that one. And, it's kind of scarce. Nowadays, it's, you're seeing more black businesses pop up in America, but not on the scale of what I see here in Africa. Yes, there are a lot of foreign businesses here too. However, here in Uganda in particular, there are just black businesses every single place that you go to. The majority of the spending that I do is with black businesses. If I have a choice, and most time I do, and if I can control the situation, most time I can, I shop with black people. You get what I'm saying? So for my daily groceries and things of that nature, I go to black supermarkets or black stores or shops. They call them shops out here, black shops, right outside of my compound area where I live at. So all I gotta do is just walk down the street or down the road, and there's a shop, owned by Ugandans. You get what I'm saying? So it's not difficult to shop with your own people here in Uganda. I can't say how it is in other countries, but here in Uganda, it's definitely not difficult at all. Okay, family, so we already mentioned that I really enjoy the fact that there are a lot of black businesses out here. So the next thing I love about being in Uganda is that there are a lot of fresh food markets everywhere. I mean, fresh food markets, there are major ones and then there are smaller ones, and then you have shops that have their own fresh food, fresh fruits and vegetables, things like that, fresh meat as well. There are a lot of butchers out here who have their meat on a daily basis. They don't necessarily have freezers or use preservatives, so what meat they buy from their wholesalers, they bring down to their butcheries, butcher it, and then that's how they do. Many of them do per day. Some of them have the storage where they can do that, buy meat ahead of time and then butcher it, as the days go. But many of them don't have that option. Like where I was living at in Kansanga, the butchers out there did not have that option at all. And I know that they were getting their meat on a day-to-day basis. They would leave like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, go to town, get some meat, like half a cow or something like that, or maybe more, and come back to their area and start chopping it up. And most people, like myself and my wife, we would get our meat early in the morning. So if you want the best cuts of meat, you got to go there early in the morning. So as far as a butcher goes, like I said, they're everywhere, and it's fresh meat, fresh food everywhere. But back to the fresh food, fruits and vegetables. So many of you, my subscribers, probably have seen a video that I posted already about an area called Nakasero Market. Nakasero Market has fresh fruits and vegetables everywhere you can look. And it's so much of it, I can say this, that every time I go to Nakasero Market, I usually come out with a lot of things, more than what I plan to go in there, to buy in the first place. And then on top of that, I usually come out with quite a bargain, So for a little bit of money, I'm gonna actually do a video on this soon, so you guys can see exactly how much money I spend on fruits and vegetables, and you can see how much I get, so you can see how much your US dollar stretches basically. And there are other markets like that. I'm not sure the markets in the area that I'm living in now, but there are fresh fruits and vegetable stands, and fruits and vegetables, shops everywhere too. So you can definitely get that. Also, farm fresh eggs too. Like you can get all that out here, you know what I'm saying? You can even get a fresh chicken, you know, chickens that aren't even butchered yet. People sell them wholesale, or you can get them per bird, however y'all want to do it. Get you a fresh chicken, take it to a butcher or somebody that you know, and they'll chop it up for you. Take the feathers, plug it, chop it, cook it up, you know, do all that stuff. Most people, I know in the area that I'm in, it's a big Islamic community out here, so most people go to a halal butcher and they chop it up, you know, perfectly for them, you know, however they do it. I'm not sure how Muslims prefer their meat to be prepared as far as halal standards and everything. I haven't looked into that, so I'm not gonna elaborate too much on it. I just know that that's what people prefer in this area. When they buy chicken, they take it to a halal butcher and they go ahead and take care of that for them. All right, so the next thing that I love about being in Uganda is how friendly people are here. So that was one of the things that I immediately noticed upon my very first time coming to Uganda all up until now. People here can be very, very friendly to you. You know, they have a way of greeting each other, a way of communicating with each other, and it goes down to the culture and things like that. But for the most part, I have not many complaints on the friendliness and how, you know, kind people are here. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's everyone, but I am gonna say that it's the majority of people, you know. So there's certain places that I go to in town where I don't really have to worry about people being rude to me, or, you know, just people having a bad day and putting their bad day on everybody else, you know what I'm saying? So for the most part, people are pretty friendly. Once you learn how to speak to them and have the common greetings in the local languages, then you'll see just how kind people really are. And oftentimes when I greet people in their local language, they are surprised, and I see a big smile on their faces, you know, compared to like other places, you know. So that's just something for my subscribers to keep in mind if you do come to Uganda. You know, just take the time out to learn a little bit about the locals here and learn a little bit about their language. Where I live, the dominant tribe here is the Uganda Kingdom. So I've learned a few of the Luganda words. Luganda is the language, so I've learned some of the Luganda words, basic greetings, greetings and salutations, things like that. You know, just basic stuff to help improve my interactions on a day-to-day basis. All right, so the next thing that I love about Uganda is the cost of living. So for many of you who may not have seen any of my previous videos, when I originally came to Africa, I was supposed to stay in Kenya, not Uganda. However, Kenya was way more expensive than we thought it was. I was part of a group. It was more expensive than we thought it was and than we knew it was, and it was a lot of other problems that we were having. So in order for us to budget better, we decided to travel around, and we got recommendations to come to Uganda, so we ended up coming to Uganda. And after I came here, I found out how cheap it is to maintain. So just to give you guys an example, when I first came to Africa, I only had a budget of $800 US. It's not a whole lot of money, but like I said, I was traveling in a group, so I didn't really need a whole lot of money to begin with. We did everything as a group. So I had a budget of $800 US. That lasted me for a long time, let's say more than 2 months. I can definitely say that. It definitely lasted me more than 2 months. And that's buying food daily, eating at restaurants daily, just a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. I would tell you what really ate up a lot of my money was data, trying to acquire data, because the data rates in Uganda and other parts of Africa are extremely high. So I spent a lot of money on data and just trying to communicate with people, you know, abroad and things like that. And that's really what ran it up for me. So, like I said, outside of that, the cost of living is amazing here. Right now, I'm staying in a 3-bedroom apartment for like around $200 US. You know, you cannot find that in America. As far as where I know, where I lived at, you can't find nothing like that in Virginia. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen anything like that in Virginia. Not even a trailer home in Virginia, I've never seen at that price, you know. Trailer homes can be pretty cheap, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying an actual apartment complex, and there's only 2 apartments on each floor. So it's not like it's like a bunch of different apartments in a low income area. I wouldn't consider this neighborhood low income at all, you know. But basically, you know, outside of housing and food, transportation is also pretty cheap here too. You could travel around town for very cheaply. Yes, it will add up eventually, but it will not be near the cost of what it is like to travel, let's say New York City or Virginia or Washington, D.C. Just places that I've been that I know I had to pay that money. So for those of you who do like to take public transportation or don't mind taking public transportation, it could be very cheap here. Uber, and they have another app, a ride-sharing app like Uber, is called Bolt, B-O-L-T, Bolt. And Bolt is fairly cheap compared to Uber, considering, you know, the areas that we're in, and a lot of places, a lot of drivers don't really like to go to because they're either not familiar with the area, the roads are not good, or it's difficult or distant to travel to those areas. So compared to Uber, Bolt is more efficient and a lot cheaper in many situations. And they have a lot of available options. I'm not saying that Uber doesn't. I just use Bolt more than Uber. I only use Uber a few times. Every time I did, I was disappointed with a lot of how things worked and disappointed with the amount of money I had to pay compared to the other apps and other ways of traveling, basically. Okay, and the last thing that I will say that I love about Uganda is the culture here. So for many people who do not know, there are many tribes here in Uganda. From what I was told, there's over 40 different tribes in Uganda. Each tribe has its own language. So there's a lot of culture in Africa that, you know, I have not been able to experience living in America. And a part of that history has been stolen from me and my people. So that's something that we're not going to be able to understand initially until we are immersed in it, basically. So coming here to Uganda and experiencing all these different tribes and how different people maintain on a day-to-day and how they have their cultural beliefs and things of that nature, it's very, it's an amazing experience. You know, it's, like I said, it's something that I don't get to experience often. If anything, I just experience different types of Latino cultures, because those are people I grew up around a lot, you know, Latinos and things like that. So that's the closest thing I could compare it to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have Mexicans, Cubans, Ecuadorians, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, all these different types of Latino people. You know, many people might not consider them tribes. I consider them different tribes that, you know, were taken from Africa, things like that. But that's another story for another time. I'm not saying every Latino was taken from Africa, not at all. But then we know that there are a lot of Africans in those Latino countries. So that's why I say it that way. But to get back to it, those were the people that I grew up around, so those are the only type of people I can see that all speak a common language but have different cultural backgrounds based off of where they're from. So here in Uganda, it's somewhat the same. Based off their tribe, you know, there's different cultural backgrounds, different things that they do within their culture, different beliefs and things of that nature. For an example, in the Buganda culture, which is a Buganda tribe, excuse me, the Buganda tribe, which is the tribe which my wife is from, they have a thing where they have the utmost respect for their husbands. Not saying other tribes don't. Other tribes do have respect for their husbands, but Buganda Kingdom takes it a step above. They do different things that honor and cherish their husbands versus other tribes. They don't do those things. One of the things are kneeling when presenting, talking, or interacting with their husbands. Not all the time, but in many different times that they are in situations where they do that, especially in formal settings. Children do it. It's usually females that do it, from what I understand. It's females, older and young, but it's typically young children, female children, who will do that, and then your wife, of course, will do that as well. So if you are an older male and you are greeting younger females and they are taught to have that respect for you, then they will kneel and when they greet you and things of that nature. For me, I don't get it that often because I'm a foreigner, and for my family members, like my in-laws, they do that sometimes. But like for other people, the parents will tell the kids, you kneel, you do this, you do that, you know, and they'll greet me that way. But for the most part, I see it done to other people, you know what I'm saying, where without hesitation, I see young girls in their like mid-20s kneeling for men in like their 50s and 60s and things of that nature. So it's just a cultural respect, you know what I'm saying, from what I understand. Okay, family, in this part of the video, we're going to talk about the things that I hate about living in Uganda. Now, before I go ahead and list these things, I need all Ugandan locals who actually see this video, y'all need to understand that this is my personal opinion, my personal perspective on how I experience things, not how you experience things. So please do not get in the comments and attack me because of what I experience on a personal level, on a day-to-day basis, okay? I am not attacking any Ugandans. I'm not destroying your character. I'm not tearing you down. I'm just talking about what I've experienced since I've been in this country. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the number one thing that I have a huge issue with in this country, is how people stare at you. If you are a foreigner, I'm not sure how white people feel about this because I haven't watched any videos on how whites deal with it, but we'll talk about me. If you're a foreigner, you come to this country, you better have thick skin. And I'm telling you, you gotta have thick skin here. There are a lot of differences between people here and a lot of differences between foreigners and Ugandans, things of that nature. And Ugandans have this thing, I'm not gonna say it's all of them, it's not all of them at all, it's many of them. They have this thing where they stare at you and it makes me extremely uncomfortable. One of the main reasons why it makes me uncomfortable is because we're taught at a young age in America not to stare at people. No matter how different they are, nobody likes to be stared at because it makes them feel insecure, it makes them feel different. You know, we all want to be treated the same. So we're taught the golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated. You get what I'm saying? And I do not want to be stared at like I'm an animal, a criminal, a monster, or some kind of weird specimen or something like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I get that there's not a lot of Black Americans who come to Uganda and not a lot of Ugandans interact with us. I get that, but it still makes me extremely uncomfortable walking or just going anywhere, just being somewhere. You get what I'm saying? And people stare at me as if they've never seen something like me before. I'm still a human, you know, it's just I look a little bit different than other people, and I don't expect to be singled out that way, but it does happen. Everywhere I've gone, everything I do, no matter what, people stare. And as soon as I start to speak, it gets even worse. So because a lot of times like people are confused at like where I'm from and things like that, so they are trying to figure out, they're just curious, you get what I'm saying? I understand that it's a curiosity thing, I get it, and I'm not seeking retribution or punishment for those who do it. I just want everyone who's watching this to understand that other foreigners are taught not to stare at people because, you know, of their differences and things like that. It's one thing to look at someone, but you don't have to stare. Like, that makes people so uncomfortable. So where I'm from, Virginia, when people are staring at you, you either have done something wrong, they're trying to figure something out about you, or they might be planning on stealing from you, robbing you, kidnapping you, bringing some kind of harm to you in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe you look like somebody they know. You get what I'm saying? So there are reasons behind it. Here, I can never figure out the reason behind it. Because when I ask, when I say what's going on, what's the problem? Is there a problem? You know, people say, no problem. No, sir, no problem. And I'm like, well, what the hell was you just staring at me like that for? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, it's hard for me to understand why people do that. I ask questions, you know. I don't ask the individual who's staring at me all the time because often it bothers me so much to the point where I don't even want to be bothered with that person. I ask other locals, other Ugandans, why do people do that, you know? And I get the same response for the most part. You know, people are curious. They don't see Black Americans here. Like I said, I understand. Doesn't give anyone the right to look at me in a way that makes me feel out of place. You get what I'm saying? Because if Ugandans were to come to our country, or to America, not our country, but if they were to go to America, I don't imagine that people would stare at them so badly. You get what I'm saying? And maybe Ugandans don't know that they're staring at people badly. Maybe it's just, like I said, they're just very curious. I understand that, but I'm telling you guys, it's bad. It's that bad. It's that bad, okay? So hopefully in the future, you know, many people watch this video and they'll start to change, but that is a problem for me. That is a problem. Okay, the next thing that I will talk about that I hate about being in Uganda is people call me Mzungu here. Mzungu, 100% certain the exact translation for it, but I was told it means foreigner or white person, depending on who's saying it or how they're saying it. It could be foreigner or just white person. But I don't like that word at all. First of all, if you're gonna call me a word that you will also call a white person, I don't want to be associated with that word. It's not at all. All right. I didn't come here to be treated differently or to be looked at differently or anything like that. I understand that that will happen, but I'm not asking for it to happen. So I don't want to be treated better or worse than anyone else. You get what I'm saying? I want to be treated equally as everyone else. So, for example, if you were to come to my home in America, I'm not going to treat you like you're a celebrity or something. Well, I don't treat celebrities any different. I don't treat them specially at all anyway. But I'm not going to treat you like you're, you know, royalty or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to treat you like how I would want you to treat me, basically. You know, I'm not going to roll out the red carpet for you as you enter my home. You get what I'm saying? But I'm going to treat you with respect and dignity. I'm going to be kind to you, things of that nature. But I do not expect to be treated differently, you know, or badly, you know what I'm saying? So the word Mzungu, it does bother me a lot. It bothers me a whole lot because I like to think of myself as an African. I don't know where specifically my people come from, but I like to think of myself as an African. So with that being said, you know, when someone calls me a Mzungu, I'm like, well, damn, what do y'all think of me now? You get what I'm saying? What do Africans here in Uganda, what do Ugandans look at me as? You get what I'm saying? Many of them assume that either my mama or my daddy is white, something of that nature, especially when I start speaking because my accent, things like that. They assume either my mom or my dad is white. And when I show them my mother and my father, when they see my mom, because my mom is lighter than me, they'll say, oh yeah, her mom or her dad is definitely white too. You know what I'm saying? So we can't just have black parents and be a different shade, because apparently people think that everyone here is going to either be dark or a little bit browner than my color. You get what I'm saying? And that's a interesting way of thinking about different people, but it does bother me a lot. You know, I hope that one day schools will start to educate people, Ugandans, on different cultures around the world and different Africans around the world, because Africans come in all shapes and sizes and all different colors. I've seen Ugandans here lighter than me, literally lighter than me, and no, they have not been bleaching. They were just lighter than me. Okay, and there are some who bleach, and you can tell the ones who bleach, and then you can tell the ones who were born light-skinned. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, and then you have the albinos in this country as well. So I'm so confused sometimes when people call me a Mzungu. I'm like, how? I'm just as brown as anyone else. I mean, I know I got a little tan right now. This is a tan. I'm a little bit lighter than this, but that doesn't mean I'm not still a black man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not still an African. You know, so I just don't expect that at all. You know, every time a child or an adult calls me Mzungu or refers to my language as a Bazungu language or something like that, it really does bother me, because it just reminds me of all that was taken from me and my people, and how other people around the world just don't have that education to know that that was taken from us. You know what I'm saying? From what I understand, they were not taught about our history of slavery, the mid-Atlantic slave trade. So it's like, it really bothers me. I'll just leave it at that. Next thing I hate about being Uganda is price increasing in certain areas. So what I mean by that is, if you don't go to a normal supermarket like ShopRite or any other supermarket, you know, Tuskegee or whatever, they don't have a fixed price on a product, then that means they can just charge you whatever. And usually it's a local price. However, if I go to a shop, and like I said, they don't have fixed prices, they'll hike the price up on me immediately, especially when I start talking. Especially because I speak English and my accent is an American accent or whatever. So I can go buy a bunch of bananas, right? Let's say I'll get a bunch of bananas. And I forgot how much they cost. Let's say they cost like 5,000 Uganda shillings. They can cost me anywhere between 8,000 and 10,000 Uganda shillings. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times they'll just increase the price on many products just because I'm a foreigner or because I speak English, you know, my English accent and everything. And in the beginning, I used to not have an issue with it, but being in this country so long and now I know prices and things like that, now I see how people are clearly trying to take advantage of me because of my lack of information or my lack of understanding of the language, things like that. So I've been trying to make it my business to learn the local language because I get tired of being cheated. You get what I'm saying? So before the whole lockdown and before the price increase on taxis used to charge a different price. Now they're charging double because of restrictions and things of that nature. But before all this quarantine, let's say it used to cost me $1,500 to get from my area to town. If I didn't ask the conductor or other people in the taxi, they'll probably charge me like $2,000 or $2,500, sometimes even $3,000. I remember one time clearly, I used to stay in an area near a place called Matundwe, and I remember one time I was coming from this area and I was going to town, and I forgot to ask the taxi man before I got in the taxi how much it would cost. Now, typically you don't usually have to do that, but just to be safe, it's a smart idea to do that. So this time I didn't do it because I was just being carefree that day. And I gave them a 10,000 shilling note, and I expected my change to come back, you know, exact. I didn't even think about it. So he gave me 5,000 shillings back. And at first I didn't think about it. I was like, wait a minute. You get what I'm saying? I thought about it. I was like, wait, damn, when they increase the price on me? So I kept asking conductor balance, because that's how you got to say it. That's how I say it. I say conductor balance. And then he responded, balance is there. And I told him, you only gave me 5,000. I gave you a 10,000 shilling. Then he tried to say I didn't give him 10,000. I gave him something else. And I told him, you only have so much money in your hand, and you didn't have a 10,000 shilling in your hand before I gave it to you. So he looked at his hand like, oh, yeah. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you're caught. But you have to be very careful with things like that because people try to play dumb with you, or you give them a large amount of money, they'll try to say like, oh, you didn't give me this, I already had this, something like that, and give you the wrong, incorrect change, or, you know, mistakes are made, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to fault anybody or blame anybody, but there are some situations where they clearly try to take advantage of you. And there are other situations where they genuinely make a mistake, you know, and you ask for your balance and things like that, then they'll give you a balance. There was only 1 or 2 times when I was in a taxi before I had met my wife and everything where people in the taxi actually spoke up on my behalf and told the conductor not to cheat me and treat me that way. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about, what I hate about here in Uganda is some people have a lack of awareness as far as personal space and privacy. So I'll try to be brief about this because this was an issue that I had when I was living in another area in Kansanga. I used to have the issue with this almost every single day, and I'll give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. Last apartment I was staying in was not inside of a gated compound. It was on the outskirts of the compound, basically. So basically my door and everything could be accessed through a different fence. So a lot of places you have to go through a big gate in the front. Then when you go in, you got the courtyard and you got your apartments, you know, on the sides or in front of you or whatever. My place was on the outside of the gate, basically. Mine was attached to the outside of the gate. So a lot of times my windows was right on the road and things like that. And my main door was on the road as well. I only had a small little gate protecting me and my next door neighbor who was right beside me. So I would have people sitting like right outside my door, or right outside my gate, or right underneath my window where my kitchen is, or underneath my window where my bathroom is. And I would have to literally go outside and tell people to not sit there. And it baffles me because I'm like, why would anybody want to sit underneath someone's bedroom window or their bathroom window? You mean to tell me you want to hear what I'm doing in there? Like, you get what I'm saying? So that just completely confuses me every time it happens. And I realize that, you know, many people here, like I said this in a video before, that Ugandans and other Africans are not really confrontational people. There are some who are, many are not. So a lot of times people do stuff like that because they know nobody's gonna come outside and tell them to move. You get what I'm saying? It's rare, but I'm not that type of person. I want my privacy and I want my personal space. And we're under quarantine restrictions right now. So why would you even want to sit that close to my house? You get what I'm saying? It's a small 1-bedroom apartment. It's a studio. It's only one room and a bathroom. That's it. The only thing that separates the bathroom is a small, tiny door. It's not even walking space in there. You get what I'm saying? So I don't understand why anybody would want to be that close to me or be that close to that apartment or something like that. I get that people want to, you know, jazz. They call it jazzing out here. They want to talk and converse amongst each other and gossip and all of that stuff. I get it. I completely understand, but don't do that underneath my window. Don't sit underneath my window, please. Okay, family, so last thing I want to talk about, what I hate about being in Uganda is people's expectations of Black Americans. People expect us to be super rich and living these super lavish lifestyles and just having a whole lot of money, you know what I'm saying, and having a whole lot of success as well. And that's not the case at all. Many of us, we struggle just as much as Ugandans struggle, if not more, you know what I'm saying? But it's not about comparing struggles to other people's struggles. It's about people knowing here the problems that exist, you know, outside of Uganda. And here in Uganda, that's, people don't really know those things, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it's everyone, it's a few people. It's a few people who are really woke and who really take the time out to, you know what's going on in the rest of the world, especially what's going on with other Africans outside of Africa, you know. So I really appreciate and respect those Ugandans who take that time out, but there's many other Ugandans who don't do that and who are okay with that, you know what I'm saying? It's not something they even think about or consider to even think about because they have their own problems in their own life to worry about, you know. So knowing about what Black Americans go through, that's a little different. But I will say this, for Ugandans who make these assumptions, they should have also taken the time out to try to find out the truth about these things instead of just going along with it. So, for example, what I mean is that if they hear something around town, they shouldn't be so quick to believe it, you know what I'm saying? People should not be so quick to believe that. They should be more quicker to disprove it or, you know, just to find out the truth about it, you know, just to go do your research and find out. And that doesn't really happen here. So that's the last and final thing that I will say that really bothers me about being here, or the thing that I hate about being here in Uganda is these high expectations. I'm not a rich man. I never lived a rich life. My family, we were never, ever rich. We don't come from money or anything like that, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's probably some of my family members would do, but the side that I was born on, well, nah, we don't come from money. So, I'd like to take this time out to say thank you to all my subscribers and to anyone else that is watching this video that is not a subscriber. If you are not a subscriber at this time, you can go ahead and subscribe now. Leave a like and a comment, and let me know how I did on this video or any other video that I've done. And it helps me improve future content as well. So I just want to say thank you again, and I really appreciate all my subscribers for, you know, staying tuned and watching my videos. Also, I want to give a special shout out to one of my subscribers, Jerry Britton, who has been supporting me through these difficult times. And once again, I want to say thank you again, brother. I really appreciate it. Every little bit of support, every donation does help, and it does matter out here, because it does help me improve my content. For example, few donations that I have been getting have been able to help me take Uber rides to different parts of town so I can film apartment videos and things of that nature. So I do want to say thank you again to my subscribers who do donate and support my channel. I really appreciate it. It does help me improve my content, and I will do better at giving shout outs to my subscribers in the future. So thanks again for watching, family. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Peace.